So Star Citizen's actually trying to be a pretty decent FPS game as well. Master modes might be taking up half the community's attention, but FPS gameplay's actually made some pretty good progression this year, and there's a lot of content just kind of backed up because of Squadron 42 that we're about to start seeing pretty soon. So in today's Feature Watch, we're going to look at the new weapons we're going to be getting soon, how FPS gameplay is supposed to change up a little bit, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it and hopefully give some context as to where we're going. Welcome to the latest Feature Watch. We skipped last week, but we're back to the series where I kind of pick a topic from the week or two before, and we talk about the context of it, what it means for Star Citizen, all that jazz. My opinion and my hopium collide to create... opium? So a little context. I come from the console space. I've never played an MMO before Star Citizen. I wasn't really into space sims or flying spaceships, but I'm huge when it comes to sci-fi games. Mass Effect, Halo, Deus Ex, Knights of the Old Republic. Those are the games I grew up on, so I'm very console FPS focused, and I love seeing them focus on that. Now, that's not to say that this needs to be a console experience. Let's not get into that, but this is something that gets me a lot more excited to see them diversifying. That's why I appreciate that FPS in this game is actually a pretty big deal. It has been since the beginning. We've got weapons, got weapon manufacturers, the first-person perspective, the medical system, hell, we even wear clothes. Now, most of it doesn't seem all that important because the game isn't built, but having clothes, just like having weapons, is going to be pretty important in the future. But on the weapons side of things, ever since probably around 2017 or so, we've been seeing a pretty steady trickle of guns coming in. Light machine guns, shotguns, assault rifles, even designated marksman's rifles, SMGs, pistols, a lot of different things that always felt pretty safe. The designs would differ a lot, and you'd have different manufacturers with different styles, things you could recognize, which was great, but it still felt pretty standard. We had damage types, energy, and ballistic. Not much besides that. We did get the salvo frag pistol, which was interesting. It actually freezes bullets to shatter them and hit you with like more of a shotgun effect, but from a pistol. We also got the lightning guns, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but overall, their whole goal was to make every gun stand out as its own entity that had its own reason for being there, and I don't think they've really hit that just yet. But this year, we have seen some good improvements. VFX and SFX have taken a good step up with the guns, as we heard in CitizenCon last year. And of course, now we're experiencing after 323. They've also tightened up a lot of the actual recoil, the balance between the different weapons. The iron sights have been moved to give us more visibility. You're seeing things like the compass and the altimeter on the HUD, which gives us a better ability to play in a group and call out our targets. You've got better indicators of your ammo, your fire method, what's going on, how you're reloading. Just in general, the FPS experience has definitely taken a step up, while the ship experience is the one that's getting all of the attention. So gun balancing is underway, but now there's a big caveat to that balancing that's going to happen, as well as a reason for a lot more guns to start coming into the game again. Squadron 42. Now, if you haven't noticed, we actually haven't received that many new guns in the last 3 years. About since 2020, 2021, when they started to put more of their effort into Squadron, we just stopped seeing these guns. Now, I've done some digging and found that the weapons team who is working on this Volt gun and these crossbow we're going to talk about in a little bit, they've been working in Squadron 42. We've actually heard the devs talk about the fact that they were working on these weapons back in 2021, giving us the impression that this stuff was all happening. It just has taken a while to find us.
The Volt stuff were alright.
The Volt stuff?
Yeah, that's alright.
That's alright. Yeah, I'm working on that Volt parallax rifle right now, which is also pretty cool and has lots of detail and has the same issues as the crossbow of too many polygons that need to get optimized, and yeah.
The special case with these Volt weapons specifically, besides the sniper rifle, is that they build on the electron damage model. We're going to talk about damage types in FPS in a bit, but this specific one was actually introduced with the Lightning Bolt company back in 2020, so you can get an idea of how that works, but it is going to be applied, I think, freshly to these new guns. Check this out.
One of the big things about Electron is there's multiple levers we can kind of pull as designers. It's comprised of energy damage, distortion damage, and something called stun damage, which you will have seen in the new melee damage systems. So with the new damage type, we obviously needed new weapons to go with that.
Several damage types are actually planned for Star Citizen. They're planning on varying the experience a lot by introducing these damage types and then making them kind of play into how armor works as well. You can go all the way back to 2019 where Richard Tyrer, who at that time was doing all the FPS stuff, was talking about the ultimate plan for this.
A variety of damage types that we have in terms of the physical weaponry, in terms of ballistics. We've got energy, distortion, and chemical, and they're all kind of broken down again. So energy has the laser weaponry. So laser's really more a quick firing, but lower damaging than, say, to ballistics. Plasma's going to have damage over time effect and leave behind a damage so that, you know, it can be area of denial. Then you've got, say, electron damage, which is the Lightning Bolt company's specialist. That's going to provide electromagnetic damage and also stun damage, which will tie into the melee system that we're bringing live. And then you've got, say, Tachyon, which is going to be obviously faster than light. And then you're looking at the more really specialists in terms of distortion, which is obviously really relevant, more relevant for ships, but we're actually, as you'll see throughout this talk, it will become more relevant for FPS as well. And then you've got the chemical, which will be adding the gamma as a future addition, but also that includes things like more environmental damage as well.
Richard then starts talking about powered armor and resistance values and whatnot. That's a different talk. We've also seen other FPS tools kind of randomly, like door breaching tools of both the explosive and mechanical type, non-lethal tasers, and they've talked about personal shield devices that we'll be able to set down for FPS cover. All of these have likely been developed for Squadron 42 and will be coming to Star Citizen soon, but there's not really any knowing. All we do know is that the FPS team is working on more of this stuff for Star Citizen specifically, so we should start seeing more of this soon.
These are the Volt weapons. So Volt is primarily based around controlling the heat of a weapon. These weapons have the potential to overheat. And if they overheat, you'll be unable to fire.
It's not necessarily a torrent of content that's coming because of Squadron starting to finish up, but we are noticing very clearly that there are teams that are getting more camera time, that are presenting new work, that are finally getting to introduce the things they've been working on over the past 2 to 3 years, ever since they kind of made this big decision with Squadron to come back to Star Citizen. And then there's the Ultiflex Novia crossbow, which is actually an old cross-reference to another game called Shroud of the Avatar. There are Star Citizen items in that game, and we've got their own crossbow in ours. It's a good crossover. Anyways, this is an original concept that wasn't working for a while due to the bolts being weird, but also just kind of developed for Squadron first. It's a very stealth-focused gun in that you won't be detected by IR, EM, or audible signals like everything else in the game will. So this is going to be good for running stealth missions, and it should be here soon, but it took a while. There are also unnamed weapons that we're starting to see. We've seen how pirates are making their own ships with the Cutlass in the Squadron 42 video, and I believe a Mustang actually in another video from around 2021. But weapons are also clearly being crafted in the wild, and they're starting to show up in the game. These are going to have a non-manufacturer style, but these will probably be weapons that we see a lot in Frontier systems, and it just allows the team to build out more variety in the guns and different systems, and as more systems come online besides Pyro, we'll probably see more variations of stuff like this. The coolest part, in my opinion, is that it uses parts from actual things we have in the game otherwise, so it's very recognizable. While there isn't any major news drop in this video, I do hope it provided some context for the FPS scene, why it took so long, where it's headed, and also shined a light on how diversified Star Citizen is. It's not just a bunch of people in spaceships flying around. You've got a lot of people that want to just run crew, do FPS missions, do investigations, maybe do some exploration. Not everybody needs to be a pilot. In fact, I did a video about this earlier this year that's all about how people don't want to fly starships. Almost 50% of people actually said they wanted to spend 50% or more of their time not flying spaceships in this game. So check that out if you want more context on that, but I hope this helped as well. And if you would like to join me for FPS gameplay yourself, me and the org are going to be headed out on Saturday to do some gun rush together, and we run activities most days of the week every week. So if you're looking for a group of people to come and play Star Citizen with, we don't allow for non-consensual PvP, but we do basically just about everything else in the game. So if you'd like to join, check out the link below. Thanks for coming to my feature watch. I hope you learned something here, and I'll catch you in the next.